Welcome to day 49 of the show Too Long Didn't Scroll, the show for you to get quick and listenable daily news updates. This is a YouTube optimized format of a podcast available on most platforms designed as an alternative to scrolling through an endless newsfeed every day. Moving forward, a website and additional social media accounts, like on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, will soon be made to get even more quick and concise summaries of daily news events. Stay tuned for more information. Day 49 of TLDS has been one of 2023's most eventful days so far. Aren't you glad you didn't have to scroll through your newsfeed to get a basic rundown of yesterday's events? Strap in, everyone. We're going to be in for the long run today. March the 9th of 2023 starts with a quick jaunt to the country of Ukraine, which has been struggling against a Russian invasion for well over a year. The war between the two countries is expected to intensify as violence ramps up in regions where Russia is conducting a renewed offensive, especially in regions like Bakhmut, where Russian soldiers and members of the Wagner Group private military company charge into Ukrainian heartland. We center in on the country as a whole, as Russia has launched a substantial missile volley at locations across the country. Reports have streamed in over infrastructure damage in cities like Kharkov in the north, Odessa to the south, Zhytomyr to the west, and the capital city of Kiev. Particularly hit hard were the regions of the Lviv Oblast in the west and the Zaporizhia Oblast in the southeast, where a nuclear power plant was hit by a missile, cutting power to much of the surrounding region and disconnecting it from the Ukrainian power grid. The International Atomic Energy Agency, in response to recent such attacks, has urged a commitment to safety in the wake of such continued strikes on volatile nuclear sites, comparing them to quote-unquote rolling a dice. This recent volley of missiles, numbering 81 in total, has been the largest Russian missile wave in several weeks. We now head on over to the country of Afghanistan, which has been under the rule of the extremist Taliban organization since 2021. However, the Taliban has yet to definitively secure the country as truly its own, with many attacks on Taliban military and infrastructure sites being common. As of today, an explosion has occurred in the Balkh Province at the office of Muzar al-Sharif, a high-ranking Taliban leader and governor of the populous Balkh Province. The explosion killed 3 people, including Sharif. The cause of the explosion and whether or not it is an attack on the Taliban is yet to be determined. Heading on over to the country of Germany, grim news has come out of the city of Hamburg in the form of a mass shooting at a kingdom hall, the common place of worship for the religious denomination of Jehovah's Witnesses. During the evening, an unknown number of gunmen entered the building and opened fire, proceeding to kill at least 7 people and injuring 25 others. Police arrived to find the body of what appeared to be one of the perpetrators. The perpetrator's motive has yet to be known. We now jump over to the country of Georgia, which for the past few days, especially in the capital city of Tbilisi, has been embroiled in nationwide protests demonstrating against a new proposal that would force many organizations and news outlets to declare themselves as quote-unquote foreign agents if they received over 20% of their funding from international sources. Many, including European Union, American, and NATO officials, and even the Georgian president herself, opposed this new bill and feared that Georgia would experience democratic backsliding and, as a result, accused the government of adopting Russian-style methods of repression. Police responded to protesters with tear gas and water cannons. However, as of today, the Georgian government has stated that it will hereby be withdrawing the bill, though the protesters have stated that their job is not over yet and have pledged to do something about the current ruling party. Hopping on over to the country of Mexico, the Gulf Cartel, otherwise known as the Cartel del Golfo, has been known for kidnapping members of rival gangs and cartels for use of purposes like extortion. Last weekend, the cartel kidnapped 4 American citizens in Matamoros, Tamaulipas, whom they believed to be members of a rival drug gang in Haiti. The kidnapping attack killed 1 bystander civilian. However, on March the 7th, the kidnapped victims were later located 10 kilometers southeast of where they had been abducted, though all but one of them were badly injured. 2 of the victims later died of the injuries. As of today, the Gulf Cartel has formally apologized for the mistake made in the kidnapping they committed, stating that they have broken the rules on quote-unquote protecting the innocent. The cartel has since surrendered 5 of its own men purported to be the kidnappers. The 5 men were all arrested by Mexican authorities. We now place ourselves in the country of Uganda, where the country's parliament has just begun debates on a bill that will significantly deprive LGBTQ+ people in the country of their personal rights. The bill will criminalize those who identify as LGBTQ+ and penalize them with up to 10 years in prison for conspiring and abetting to commit homosexuality and same-sex relations, respectively. Uganda is marked by violence and discrimination against homosexual and transgender people by the staunchly conservative populace. Now, heading on over to the country of France, the country is experiencing a series of protests of its own against the controversial new bill. The new bill is a pension reform that would raise the country's retirement age from 62 to 64. The proposal was met with mass strikes and demonstrations across the country over the shift in rhetoric for France's pension regulations. However, despite such demonstrations, the bill has now been voted in a 201 to 115 majority in the French Senate to be passed, and has since been passed to the country's parliament for finishing touches, though the bill's prospects in France's minority parliament may yet be slim. We now make a quick jump to the Benelux, specifically the country of Belgium. The country is now passing a proposal of its own that would ban the advertising of gambling on various platforms, including television, cinema, radio, social media, online advertising, and more, citing an increase in gambling addiction across the country. Beginning in 2028, gambling companies will also be prohibited from sponsoring professional sports clubs as well. Heading on over to the country of Belarus, President Alexander Lukashenko has just announced that a new bill will be signed into law that would expand the country's death penalty, a sentence that has otherwise largely been limited across the world. The authoritarian government will now be allowed to sentence officials and servicemen in the country to death for crimes such as high treason. Examples of such include, quote-unquote, discrediting Belarus's armed forces. In other news, a collision between a train and a bus in Lagos, Nigeria has killed 6 people and injured 25 others. A mine tunnel collapse in Catalonia, Spain has killed 3 people, and 14 people were killed after a migrant boat off the coast of Tunisia sank in some of the most dangerous waters for migrants attempting to flee to Europe have to brave.